Welcome back in, y'all. Today we are covering the first 6 episodes of Love is Blind. We are Black Girls Talking TV, where we bring the group chat to life and discuss all of your favorite TV shows. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, and join the chat if you would like. I am Victoria. I am a psychologist out of New York.
I'm Kamaria. I am a lawyer in the DC area and a pop culture writer.
I'm Chi Chi. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist based in London and I have a virtual presence in Virginia. So let's get into it, y'all. Like, what are our first impressions of the couples, the people that we're seeing on Love is Blind? Like, who do we like? Who's standing out?
I liked and didn't like the alien girl out of Meg. Is that her
Meg?
name?
Yeah. Meg.
Yeah, her energy was so big, but it also was like a lot, and so it's
Mhm.
like, but I also kind of liked her, but I thought she was a little crazy, but like kind of also very authentic, and so it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
even if an authentic person has a little touch of crazy to them, it's like you kind of give them a pass for the crazy side because it's like look at them, they're just so authentic, and that's refreshing.
Uh-huh.
So I liked
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
a little.
Yeah. I also really liked Brittany and Virginia. I thought they both had very contrasting personalities, but they both seem like really sweet, wholesome, like professional women who aren't about drama, girls. So I really enjoyed watching them on the screen.
I have to say I did like Meg. She was a lot. Like I just felt like, oh, she got a lot of energy. But I enjoyed the fact that she was authentic, right? Like she was
Mhm.
just saying what she thought. She was being who she was. I'm not gonna lie, not many people stood out to me. It took me a
Mhm.
minute to become oriented with like who is who you like. Like, I don't know. I mean, there isn't a lot of like spicy
Flavor.
flavors, not a lot of flavor. Maybe we're gonna get to it once they get out of the pods, but there wasn't a lot of flavor. I was trying to figure out like where are they located? Was it Minnesota?
Yeah,
I think so.
Minnesota, Minneapolis.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I'm like,
And
okay.
it's given very Minneapolis.
It is, right? I heard, like, some of them from Indiana, and I've, like, been up there for a bit, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, Indiana don't got a lot of flavor," like, but
Yeah.
either way, like, there were a few people that I was like, "Okay," you know, they might be interesting
Yeah.
throughout the season. What
Madison
I
about
was the biggest red flag to me.
yeah, I was about to say, I was like, a lot of the drama is seeming like it's not gonna take it into the engagement episodes because Madison, I feel like, had a lot of drama going around. But go ahead,
people?
Victoria, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say exactly that. Like she had a lot going on. She was confusing to me. She wasn't. I didn't think she was. She understood how she was coming off, and she. I know we'll get into it, but overall, my impression of her was, if I can't have you, no one can. Um,
Mhm.
she's that type of person. So yeah, it
Interesting.
was.
She was an enigma to me. I was unclear about her. I was really unclear. Like at times I was like, "Oh, she's very healed and she's very calm and she's very sure of herself." And at other times I was like, "She's got a lot going on." And other times it seemed like, "Is she sneaky? Is she manipulative?" Like I couldn't tell what. I really still don't know, like to be honest, but I will
Mhm.
lean on the side of I wasn't a huge fan mainly because of how who's the guy she chose who didn't choose her?
Alex.
Um, Alex.
Alex.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't like that their last exchange, and so I felt like that soured me on her a bit. But yeah,
Yeah. I would
I
I
think
will
she's
agree with you. It was a last encounter for me that soured her. Before, I was like, "Okay, girl, do your thing." Like, I enjoyed
mhm.
her. I also felt like she was quite, like, open with Alex about her and I know we're gonna talk about it in a bit, but yeah, I enjoyed her.
Any other red flags that we saw?
Daniel. No, not
But sh
short. I mean, Short King Daniel. We don't really know what was going on there with the whole picture
Mhm.
thing and following on Instagram. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Who was the guy? David. David.
Oh,
Oh
yes.
yes, because I rewound that back.
Dave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dave is a red
He
flag.
said a lot of
Yeah.
questionable stuff. And Ben, is that his name? The guy who was
Oh
like
yes.
anti
Mhm.
BLM.
Red flag.
Girl, how
Red
we forget
flag.
about them? They
Yes, yes. Because
I
no
agree.
flavor, but still, yeah, red
I
flags.
agree. So, what are you guys' thoughts on the quadrangle? I don't even know what the word is for the four of them. It was Madison, Alex, but then there was Madison was also with Mason,
Mason.
and then
Mhm.
Mason was also with Meg,
Megs.
girl.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes, and it's like nobody ended up with anybody. So,
I
what were your
know.
thoughts on any of these pairs? Like, did you like any of the combinations better than others? What are we thinking?
Yeah. I really felt for Mason, right? Because I felt like Mason allowed the little sexual banter that he was having with Madison to really overshadow the connection and the compatibility that he had with Megs. And then he felt that
Absolutely.
he felt that pressure from Madison and then was like, "Oh, I'm committed to you." Right? Knowing that women talk, I don't know why the
Right.
men think, I know they may not talk about it, but the women, that's what we do that, right? And so knowing the women talk, he was going to tell Megs, and that was automatically going to ruin that connection. I hated that because I really did feel like him and Megs, the stuff that they were interested in, I'm like, who even
They
knows
lined
about this?
up T to T. They really
Yes,
did.
to the T. And so I felt bad when, because I mean, I could tell that Megs was someone that was quite like authentic, secure in who she was, and she wasn't going to take second place. She just wasn't. I mean,
Mhm.
him and Madison did have little like cute banter, but it was just cute
It
sexual
was dull
banter.
and boring.
I agree with that. It was dull and it was boring. And I noticed that Madison brought up sex, like she had the pickle moment with the other guy. I was like, first of all, this girl, she knows she out here, like you can still turn a man on, he can't see you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what
Mhm,
she was
mhm.
doing, like heightening that like sexual tension a little bit
Yeah,
between her and the guys. I mean, it could have been just edited out, of course, or no, but I didn't see other people really dip down that lane the way she seemed
they
to,
didn't.
and it seems to be
Yes.
very intentional.
On top of talking about celibacy, I was like, how are
Yeah.
you bringing up? I wasn't sure if she was suggesting that she wanted to be celibate or not have sex the first 4 weeks of that conversation that she had with Alex. And I was like, now you're in Mason's face talking about your nipple piercings. Like, girl, which one is it?
Oh, yeah, the
Mm,
Which
cream
one is it?
pie.
Yes,
yeah,
cream pie. It was too much. It
It
was
was
it was too much. And the reason why none of them are now together, let's just put that out there, is because of
Mhm.
Madison.
you
Nobody
think?
got
Yeah,
nobody
yeah,
because of
Nobody got
Madison
her because of
and
Madison.
Madison.
her mess. Okay. And
Yeah,
that whole idea that she's healed, I was like, you may not be where you once were,
Yeah.
but you still have some work to do for sure.
yeah. And I think
For
that's
Mhm.
why
sure.
Alex couldn't fully, like, lean in and propose to her because he felt like something here doesn't feel right. Even when she tried to have the sexual banter with him, he didn't lean into it. He was just like, "Yeah." He was very much like, "Why are we discussing this?" Right? And I can understand, like, wanting to see if you could have that type of chemistry with someone, but mind you, like, they're doing these dates in a span of what, a couple of weeks, if that? You don't need to
10
figure that out
days.
yet. Right,
Is it
10
10 days?
days.
Oh,
Like, you
it's
know,
21 days in the
no, it's
pods. You
10
sure?
days they do. Yeah,
But it
it's
was
10. I heard
10.
someone say
I
10.
think it's 21, but I don't know. I don't know. But I thought
Oh,
it was
okay.
21, but I'm not sure.
I don't know what she was trying to do with the whole, like, sexual comments and things like that, but Alice wasn't for it. And I felt bad for her in that last connection. I did, even though I know she was messy. I still felt bad for her in that last connection with Alex. I do think she liked him. Um, but he was really trying to, like, say, okay, let's have some perspective here. Mason, like, is not all bad. And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden she was like, I was hurt by him saying that. You were hurt, you didn't
You
like
didn't
him.
want him.
You didn't want him,
Yeah.
so you were hurt by the fact that he said that he wasn't actually committed to you? No, no. And she dug her own grave there because I think Alex
Yeah,
was like, "Whoa, who are you?"
right.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. That moment was just like it was like she revealed herself. And then also one of
Mhm.
the things that I didn't like about her is that she kept revealing Meg's business to the
Yeah.
people. Like
Right.
she the
Yeah.
one who told Alex or Mason that Meg was only here for him. And he was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And I thought that was going to push him into the direction of Meg a little bit
Meg.
more or something, but it didn't seem to do that. But either way, it's like Meg didn't want you to necessarily say that, and you didn't clear it with her. It's not your business to say. She was like, "Oh, I thought it would be something that you would want to know." whether he wants to know it or not doesn't mean it's your business to tell. Like,
Right.
that was not her business to tell. And on top of that, when she went back into the ladies' quarters, when she broke it off with Mason, she was like, I was telling him that you might not end up with either one of us. And Meg was like, no, you didn't. You
Yeah.
didn't say that. Like, Meg herself was like, no, you didn't. And she was like, I didn't say anything about what you were going to do. But it's like, you are kind of painting this picture. And then she came in there. I felt like she was trying to influence Meg. And all the other ladies were like, well, listen to what he has to say. You'll have more
Yeah.
information. I think Virginia and Sarah, they were like, once you get information from him, you'll have a bigger picture. I felt like they were seeing that, what's her name, Madison,
Madison.
was talking too much, like this was a foregone conclusion. They gave her space to be able to like figure it out a little bit more. But I wonder what all in all did happen with Meg's decision, because I don't know. I think they're like Bliss and was that last season or the
Yeah.
season before that? He chose a whole nother woman. He went on the honeymoon with her, and it didn't end it until like after that whole time period. And she took him back, and she realized like they have a really good connection. They're the first Love is Blind baby. You know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
can be the second pick and not be like sloppy seconds, because this
Right.
is such
Especially in
a
a
Yeah.
new
situation like
experience.
this, right? Like where you're
Yeah.
making these very intense connections very fast and you don't have a lot of time to really make like a
Mhm.
logical and an emotional decision, because you have all this pressure coming at you from different ways. And my first red flag from Madison, probably like the third actually, was when she had that conversation with Mason and was like, kept trying to like pinhole him into saying that he
Mhm.
wants her and her only, knowing that's not even how she felt. It was just like she just wanted to be validated in
Yep.
that
Mhm.
moment, and she wasn't caring about the destruction that she was causing. Like, you know what you're doing. You're used to manipulating situations to get what you want, is what
Mhm.
I took from that,
Mhm.
because she's smart enough to know that she kept like, okay, and what does that mean?
Mhm.
Okay, well, what about? I'm like,
Mhm.
girl,
Yeah.
you see this
She
man is over here being timid about expressing himself. Chill out.
yeah.
Like,
She she pegged Mason. She knew that she could manipulate him, right? Like
Mhm.
she understood like even if you it's so interesting, even if you don't see people, right? You can sometimes pick up on this is a person I know I can manipulate, right? Like or this is someone that I know might manipulate. You can sense that. And she
Yeah.
pegged Mason and she did. She pinholed him into like saying I'm committed to you even though he was not sure.
Mhm.
And it didn't go well. And I agree with you, Kamaria, around like, don't get me wrong, I don't want to be chose second either. But
Mhm.
I wish that Megs would have like maybe consulted with some of the other women. And I think Virginia was trying to tell her that, wait, girl, listen to what he has to say. Because Virginia is a little bit older, more mature, right? And
right,
like
Mhm.
she understands sometimes women don't have your best interest at heart. Even though Madison is in here acting like, oh, I was thinking of you. No, 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 no. You were thinking of
Mhm.
you. And,
right.
Mhm.
unfortunately, I do think that she was influenced by Madison. And then just the pressure of like this being aired on TV, and then no one
Mhm.
wants to have it seem like they don't have good self esteem and they're, allowing themselves to be chosen second. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I hate that that match was missed. Like
Yeah.
Megs and Mason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they were
I
perfect for each other.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually think that they might be my favorite match of this season. But two thoughts. One thing, there's something about what Mason did that was a little off, though. I will say that. Like, to me, there was something about the fact when he said it felt off, or like I said this, and I was like, did it really though? Because it didn't come off that way to me. It came off like you were going down this path, and you might be wrong. Like, I'm not trying to say he didn't have these feelings for Meg.
Right.
I just feel
Right.
like I feel like he's being a little dishonest in that moment of like saying that he immediately knew, and he didn't say. I do think there was something to that point that Madison raised about like him kind of flip flopping on that, but that's just me. Maybe maybe I'll watch it again and see if I see a different perspective. But I thought that. But then on the flip side with Megs, I do feel like she probably understood that this is enough to give me pause, but I'm about to see this man when we all link up, and we'll see what the vibes are like then. Because I
True.
have very
True.
strong uh, feelings that they may connect there. And I think then her story is like, she held, firm to her standards, and but then they
Mhm.
still found this love match. Like, she stepped away, but they still found it. So I think that they're going to end up together, to be honest. But
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I was gonna also say that I applauded Alex for having his pause. There were
Mhm.
times where I was like, okay, that anxious thing that you were talking about, it keeps showing up. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I was like, there's a level of discernment here where he is not able to truly pick up, like, am I seeing the full picture, right? And I think it was very noble of him to say, I want to be able to like help you through this. So give me the tools, like, and there are sessions for stuff like that, right? Like, how do you be a partner to someone who's been through complex trauma? Just like there,
Mhm.
it's for all disorders really, and it's part of a really great like prognosis in terms of like healing and like being able to navigate
Mhm.
challenging situations together. And so for her to be like, you can't help me, I can do this all alone, right? I think that
Yeah.
was like the first thing that popped up for Alex, where it was like, if I can't help you, like, how are we going to be able to actually be together and move through
Mhm.
situations and challenges together? Like, yeah, you went through the trauma on your own, but now you're in a partnership. And I think it showed that, like, maybe she's not 100% ready for what he is ready for in terms of like how they view marriage and
Mhm.
partnership. So I applauded him for saying, you know what, maybe not. I'm not sure if they're gonna carry on. I was like, well, maybe he'll I thought like maybe he'll hit her up after to say like, we can continue to date and just see where it goes. Because
Mhm.
he definitely deserves to see like in real time how those things play out in their day to day. Even her saying
Mhm.
like it doesn't really affect your relationships, it absolutely does. And right there, I was
Yeah.
like, she has very low insight into her challenges. She
Yeah.
Mhm.
might have like it's probably very true that she's done a lot of she's made a lot of progress and she's had a lot of growth. But for
Mhm.
her to feel like it doesn't impact her day to day life in these different areas, I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
honey, you may not be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
totally
it was
agree.
it was playing out real time, right? Like the whole situation that, she was in, she was saying like, oh, she was saying Mason needed to, what's the word? Be decisive. Well, she also could have been decisive, right? And very
Right.
quickly
Right.
said that she didn't want to be with Mason, but she wanted to be chosen by him, right? She wanted to be chosen by him. And then she also wanted to be chosen by Alex. And so I think her stuff was also playing out real time. We saw how messy she was, and how she was kind of the cork in this whole quadruple, whatever you want to call it, situation. Um,
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna lie though, I think Alex should go the other way. Like I know what it is to have an anxious attachment because that's more of my attachment. And I understand why he was so protective over his own heart in that
Mm,
situation of like, this isn't giving healed. Not saying that you have to be healed to be in a relationship because you don't. But I think that she did several things to give him big enough pause to say, yeah,
absolutely.
I don't know if this is it, right? This may not be the thing for me. Um, yeah, I don't I would say he should just go, enjoy
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Yeah, he
I
wouldn't be
agree.
wrong to do so, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah. It is unfortunate though, because it sounds like she definitely went through a lot.
Yeah.
She did. She
Yeah,
did.
Yeah.
yeah. But it's definitely important to understand what those impacts are on your day to day. And I think sometimes when people have gone through a lot of treatment, they feel they are superior to others because they understand certain things, but they
Yeah.
don't apply it to themselves. They just have knowledge of it. But
Mhm.
after the knowledge, right, like it's implementation. And I'm not sure she has had enough implementation to now have like empathy, right, and understanding in her conversations.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think he was trying to see that at the end where he was like, "Oh, like Mason, like, I talked to him. Like, I really don't think that he was trying to play both of you. He just didn't know what to do." And
Mhm.
she was, instead of, trying to like, well, see a different perspective, she was like, "You need to validate me in this moment. Like, I
Mhm.
feel invalidated." And then he did validate her. And then it wasn't enough.
Mhm.
And I was like, dang, this is going
Yeah.
sour.
The one thing I did not understand about, like, why was Alex being all huggy with Mason? I was like, why? Like, you know that he's the other guy. It was giving me
Yeah.
like a little bit like, stop it, Mason. Like, Alex, just, let somebody else take care of him. You don't need to, because I feel like I don't think Alex knew the whole time it was him.
I
He
don't
didn't.
think.
Mason knew
No.
the whole time it was Alex that
Yeah.
was the other guy. Because
Yeah.
the guys that were saying they didn't use names, which I actually think they should all do. I know that we as women talk, but I think that they can talk without like using names. I feel, because I don't know, but I guess you want to compare notes. If you were in there, I think you would want to know, like, what do you think about Alex? Like, just so you don't feel
Yeah.
like you have the wool being pulled over your eyes. Like if everybody
Mhm,
thought he was a
mhm.
creep, you don't want to be
Right.
like the only person missing the flags.
Yeah.
I think they just had a really great bromance,
Yeah.
and you can tell he was like really like hurting for Mason, because
Makes
Mason is a good guy. Mason, to me, as soon as he got on the screen, I was like, he's the Cameron of the season. Like,
sense.
he just
Cameron.
from the first season with
Oh,
Lauren.
Cameron. Oh, okay. I was
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
last
yeah. He was
season.
giving me
Okay.
Cameron vibes, like he's the actual golden retriever of the, the
I was
season.
thinking that about Alex, to be honest. Like Alex was
Alex is
giving
also very
me,
sweet, but they align
yeah.
in that way, right? Like they're
Yeah.
two really good wholesome guys, and I think like they were
Mhm.
able to connect with that, because it's probably very clear that they were able to pick up on BS from some of the other guys based on how they were having
Mhm.
conversations in
True.
the pods. But you always saw Mason and Alex together. Also sometimes with Devon, right? Like those were like the
Yeah.
conversations in the pods you always saw happening.
Mhm.
Like I never
Mhm.
really saw them talking to um what's his name,
Dave.
Dave, or to Ben,
I
and
didn't
so
even
that
pay
was something I
attention.
picked up on. Like they probably understood, like, them ain't my people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
and so yeah, kudos to Alex for his like discernment and all of that, because also there's discernment in knowing that Mason, and that this woman is saying that she also had a deep connection with Mason, and now she's in this position of looking at him and blaming him in this way. It's like it runs counter to like your experience with this person.
Mhm.
It causes you
Right.
to question maybe your discernment, this person's discernment of like who he really is, and
Right.
like maybe it just caused him to question a lot. So I think that was some of what gave him pause in that last thing. Because I was like,
Mhm.
girl, I understand trying to be validated, because I am a person who's like, you need to understand my emotions. But at
Mhm.
the same time, he's giving you a different perspective, and I think you're not
Yeah.
accepting his perspective. He, like, meaning that he has a actual experience with Mason that's not romantic, that's just in a bro mode. There's no other ulterior motive, so he's bringing a different perspective. And I think if you trust
Yeah.
and value his input, then you're going to receive what he's saying and say like, okay, I can hear that. It did make me feel bad, and I don't like the actions, but I can take what you're saying, that maybe he was in a tough
Yeah.
spot. And
Right.
both things can be true.
Yeah. And in addition, she said something like he may have messed up two good things. And I was like, girl, little did you know you was going home too.
Yeah.
Right. You
She
the
was
one
proud
that
of
messed up
that.
two. You messed up three good things. Like,
Right.
all these little
She was too proud of that for me. I was
He
like, "Girl, this is not
was.
cute. This is
It's
not
not
cute. This is
cute.
not something to hang your hat on." And also,
yeah.
she acting like the guys don't talk. Even if they don't use names, Mason
Mhm.
has said plenty of times, these are the two, like there's two women that I like, and he's probably having conversations about what he likes about these women. So Alex
Mhm.
also has a perspective of like, no, I know how he actually feels about both of you, because he's talked
Mhm.
about it.
Mhm.
I didn't know it was you two, but I've
Mhm.
had these conversations, so I know he's not trying to play y'all.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
And I
yeah,
yeah.
think it's
yeah.
like it's a myth to think that you can't be attracted to two people at once, right? And I
Yeah.
think sometimes that might be more difficult for maybe the women to understand. But you can like two people at once. You can feel deeply for more than one person. And even though it might be hard to like acknowledge that, oh, someone that I have a connection with is making a connection with another person, that's just the reality of we're able to make multiple connections and it doesn't make one a lie.
Right. So, what are our thoughts on Daniel and Taylor? Because it seems like they are definitely not making it to the end based on how the episode 6 ended. What are we thinking?
I don't know. I thought it was an odd thing. Like, how did she even
Yeah.
know that, like,
Right.
that's him? I'm confused as to why this popped in her head. Like,
Yeah.
because
Well, she
it's
said
such
he
an
felt
odd thing to
familiar.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, it's such an odd thing to remember, like, just a random friend request that you didn't accept. Who remembers those, and why
Yeah.
did you remember it? I need to know more information about, like,
Yeah.
because it just seemed like plucked out of nowhere. Like, how do you know this, that it's him? And why
Right.
do you remember it so vividly? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, I feel like she just wasn't into him. Like, I feel like when she walked out there and I mean, he thought she was gorgeous, but I just felt like she was not feeling him like that.
Mm.
And, yeah, I think that's some of what may have fueled this because I agree with you. Like, how do you remember something like that? Why did it like ping in your head? But also on top of that, does it really matter? Like, I don't know, like, because I don't know the timeline at which they start filming and all of this stuff. So she got it a couple of months ahead of time. So, like, what makes you think that even if he didn't know you, he was able to put two and two together by reading these few things in your bio? Like, he could have just been following lots of people at that time frame. So I don't know. Even if he did, like, realize some halfway through their connection that this was her, people put stuff in their bios all the time that aren't necessarily like big character, like, I don't know, characteristics of who they are. So I just felt like, does it really matter whether he did or he didn't, he knew or he didn't know? Like, I don't know. So I just kind of feel like she was bringing this up because she wasn't really into him.
I was also confused why she was bringing up all the different things in her bio because I'm like, this was all information that you gave to him. So I feel like the conversations weren't set up where it was like he was bringing up Taco Bell. You brought up Taco Bell and your tattoo on your lip.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
I was confused. Also, too, I'm like, so there were a lot of conversations where, well, not a lot, but there were a few moments like he had asked her, "What's your Instagram handle?" So maybe he was also thinking like, okay, like have I followed this girl? I also think with clearly Minneapolis being so small in the dating pool, right? Like maybe they both have mutual
Mutual,
friends
which
or
you said they
something,
have
and they
mutual
said
friends.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, that you guys would be like a really good match because you guys have all of
Mhm.
these similar interests. And maybe that's where possibly the Instagram interaction like came from.
Yeah.
And like, oh, you
Yeah.
guys are both like going on the show or something. I don't know. But I feel like if somehow you guys figured out how to fall in love, like, do it make any difference?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're right. It
Well,
don't really
I guess
matter.
this is the way I took it. Like, I took it that she was trying to say that, like, maybe there was like a stalker-esque component to this. Like, that there was
Mhm.
something that, like, he saw her, found out somehow she was going on the show or something like that. Like, but I guess as I'm listening to you guys, I'm realizing that maybe that wasn't what it was. Maybe it was literally just she was saying that he put two and two together and that he knew what she looked like um, while in the pods, as opposed to this stalkery sort of like I'm
Yeah.
interested in her, and I heard that she's going. We have mutual friends. I heard she's going on show. I'm applied too, and then it's like boom, that's her. Like that's what my brain was going, and I feel like that can give somebody maybe pause if there were like facts to support that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But listening to you guys, I am wondering if she's really just concerned about that he knew what she looked like, and so not
Yeah.
having the integrity of the experiment happen the way it should have, or
Hmm.
like whether he was leaning into the things he knew she liked, and so she has a question about whether he is genuinely a match of somebody who likes those things or just
Yeah.
knows information about her and fed her those things. So I
Right.
the whole thing is just confusing to me.
Well,
It
So
I
I
is.
mean,
don't
the
But the
Christmas
Christmas cards are
thing.
real.
Yeah, the
what
Christmas
Christmas.
cards are real. He's been like the Christmas cards he does. He's been doing that since like 2020, right? So this is
Yeah.
like even when she brought up, "Oh, I have in my bio something about Christmas," and I was like, "Girl, he's manufacturing Christmas cards from years ago." Like some
Yeah.
of it, I don't know. I understand that she may feel some type of way around like the integrity of this process. Maybe he didn't because he knew what she looked like, and I'm like, honey, this is a short king. Like I mean, I'm just saying, like, he was probably gonna like you regardless, right? Like, he was just gonna like you regardless. And he came on the show expressing, like, I like a lot of women, they don't into me because I'm short or whatever. So he seems to be a more open-minded person,
Yeah.
like I understand her pause and like, dang it, he may have known what I look like, and that, could have influenced him liking me and all of this stuff. And if he did, you all still had a lot in common. You made a connection with someone. Also, you can pick up on certain things, Madison did, by just talking to someone in those pods and use that to be quite manipulative. You don't need prior information to come in and like do these manipulative things. You can just listen. You can really
Right.
understand what people have interest in and then kind of use that if that was, your intention.
Your
I
personal
don't think
motive,
that
yeah.
was his intention. He gives that he really is trying to find somebody. Um
Mhm.
I hope they make it to the honeymoon. It doesn't end there.
Yeah, I don't know if I was him, and when I was wanting to get more expression from him when she sat him down at that little, what are they like? It was at a Ramada Inn or something. I was like, where was this
Not a
where the money
I
Ramada.
was
going?
like, not this cheap hotel.
Because I was
I'm like,
like,
this is
yeah,
why
I
they
was
got all
like,
these lawsuits. Y'all got them sweet.
oh no, you got the people in the Holiday Inn or something. Because that's what it was given. It was given like we got here early and continental breakfast is coming, in a little bit.
Right.
Because where were they? But anywho, when he sat down with her, I wanted to see him like express a little bit more or show some expression as to how he was reacting to it. Because if I was being sort of accused of this, I would be a little concerned about like, and if it wasn't true, like if it wasn't true and I was being accused of it, I would kind of be concerned about this person's ability to spiral,
Right.
like I'd be like, what? No, don't laugh, Gigi. But I would be like, this is
Girl,
interesting.
you
Like,
came up with this whole theory in your head.
yeah, I would be a little concerned and not necessarily have a lot of trust and faith in like this, match that we've made, if it
Yeah.
wasn't true. But
Yeah.
if it is
Yeah.
true, you know, like I just want to hear a little bit more from him as a reaction. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
what is
I mean,
it, buddy?
it seemed like he was shocked because she was up,
Mhm.
face beat, ready to go, and he just rolled out of bed. And so I was just like,
Literally.
yeah, like he probably was kind of like, oh, is she about to break up with me? Like, what's going on? And then she's
Yeah.
like, I think he followed me on Instagram. And he was like, now
Oh
Like
everyone
social
lied.
media drama already. Like
Right.
Right,
we just
right. He's
met.
probably like, "Yeah, got engaged and now you already coming with this. Now if he
Yeah.
did follow her, I hope that he just kind of like says it like, oh, you know what, you're right, I did follow you, we have mutual friends, yada yada yada, but I wasn't able to put two and two together. So hopefully if it is true, he doesn't withhold that too long because it's going to look shady. But at the same
Right.
time, I'm like, girl, you couldn't have done this. Why are you doing it this early in the morning? Like, I just feel like you've been sitting up all night, like you said, spiraling about this situation. And now that you've like gotten ready and got your case together, now you're ready to present it to him. And yeah.
You sent us a picture, Victoria, about like the picture was him in front of a fireplace. Did any because so
Mhm.
he said that that's
Yeah,
what it
he
was.
said, "No, I have a
Yeah,
picture in
he
front of
did.
a fireplace and the drink is not even in my hand," which is true. That's not the picture. And so maybe she was like combining pictures. That was like the theory on the article that I sent you guys.
Yeah.
But still at the end of the day, she was so specific about the details she remembered, right?
Yeah, it was just odd to me.
Yeah, like he had I think it was like a dog in the picture or something.
Yeah,
Like
he
I
had
feel
a
like those are
dog.
kind of details you do remember.
Yeah.
Uh to be so specific about what you remember seeing and how that picture just clicked in your head. It just clicked
I know.
I mean, I
everything
think
for
you
you.
were spot on, Victoria. Like the dating scene there is probably small. They probably do have mutual friends. So it's likely that she's come across some type of picture or something of him, or there's a reason why he feels familiar to her, right? I think
Right,
there could be, but it doesn't have to mean that he was doing something shady and knew who you were
right,
and was stalking you or whatever. It could just be, oh, we know the same person. I saw you here, or you were in that photo, or something of that nature. Yeah.
right.
The more we talk about this, more I agree with your original theory, Chi Chi, that she might just not be into
I
this
just feel like she's not into
man.
him.
Yeah,
I could tell by the way that she was and I know it's awkward when you like first see this person and it's like, oh, do we hug? Do we not? But I just got the feeling like, girl, you're not into him. This is not giving that you're into him. And maybe you need a little more time because maybe he didn't look like maybe you were hoping him to look. But
Mhm.
yeah. But yeah, speaking of reveals, right? Like I guess we'll find out if, Taylor and Daniel actually make it. What did you all actually think of the other couples that, made it through and will be going on the honeymoon?
Yeah, first was Monica and Joey. I honestly didn't have much to like or to dislike about their union. I didn't necessarily like understand what they connected on. They were kind of just
Yeah.
blah to me. I guess this is the gonna be the wholesome couple that we just know is gonna stand the test of time through the show.
Yeah,
I don't know.
they
I
gonna
don't know
make it.
if they're gonna stand the test of time. I don't have nothing to say one way or the other about them, but I will say that like their reveal was the first. I was like, "Girl, you stand up," because she was like crouching down so much. I think it's because she's so tall. Like she's really tall, but I was
Yeah.
like, I want to like she would. I, was not the only person to notice that. Like she would
No.
not stand up. She was like
I
so crouched, like, so down. Like, oh my god,
She
yes,
wasn't
yes.
sitting
I'm
still
like,
enough for me to notice that.
you
She
said
kept
what?
I
moving. She wasn't sitting
I was
still
so
enough.
annoyed. I was annoyed with their whole reveal.
Absolutely. Yes.
I
Like,
wanted to, like, it was just
stop.
so much. It was the crouching down. And then I was like, I guess maybe y'all perfect for each other because y'all both got a lot of energy. But you could tell in the
Yeah.
pods they were like very excitable.
Yeah.
Mm,
And like it
I
just
don't know.
showed when they popped out there. And I also stand like nerves are running through their body, so they're nervous. But I agree. I was like, stand up, sit, be still. I just felt
Yeah.
like a mother, like wanting to tell them, sit down, you know?
Yeah, right. It wasn't until right before the reveal that they actually shared with us that she was that tall. Like
Yeah,
she's very
yeah.
tall. I think she's taller than him, or possibly like a little bit taller than him. She did have
Mhm.
on like kitten heels, but she's very tall. So I wondered if some of that was like insecurity about that,
Yeah,
and just like crouching down so much to not be so
tall.
tall,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. But it wasn't that
It
much
was
taller
not
than him, but it
noticeable.
was
Yeah.
it she was tall and he wasn't a short guy. It didn't seem like it.
No.
Yeah, I thought they
He
were a
didn't
good height to each
I
other.
thought they were good height. I thought he was slightly taller, but I don't remember. But to be honest, I don't think he even cared about it. Like, I think he was
Yeah,
just happy to see her. I don't
yeah,
think he was
Mhm.
concerned about her height. Like,
I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
He definitely gave me like I always look for the guy's reaction mainly
Yeah.
because I'm like, if he's not feeling her, like he's not going to work through the personality and fall in love. Like I feel like unless like I promise you, I do not feel like that. I feel like women though, if they don't initially think he's attractive, there's some room for like, growth
Mhm.
there, but I don't think for men. And so
Yeah.
if he's not into her when they reveal those doors open, I think it's doomed. And so I always
Yeah.
look at how the guy reacts. That's why I thought, like, not to go back to Daniel. That's why I thought that it would work because I was like, okay, he really likes what he sees,
He didn't.
and yeah, she didn't. But anyway, who was next?
The
Virginia
black
and Devon, our
couple.
only black love
Right.
couple.
Yeah, only black couple. Well, is she black? Wait, do we know if Virginia's black?
I thought she was black. She looked
Thought she
black
was
to me.
black.
Yeah, she
I don't know.
looked
You
just
can't
light
tell.
skinned.
I don't know. I can't these days. I don't be saying because then people be like, "No, I'm half Dominican and something else," and you be like, "Oh."
Yeah. She was
Anyway, we'll
definitely
call.
given
She was
light
given black. I thought,
light
but I didn't know
skin
for sure.
black
Yeah,
girl.
yeah,
Yeah. I
Mhm.
like them as a couple.
yeah.
Yeah, I was rooting for Devin and Brittany because they just
Oh
linked
yeah,
up on like those common interests, and I was like, this will never be like a conflict of interest for them, because they're both pretty passionate about it and working with kids. So I was like, their Saturdays are gonna look the same, like, and you need that, right? But I did appreciate Monica being like, I'm gonna be at the concession stand giving the walking tacos.
He's
yeah.
from
But it
Virginia.
seemed like he was really hung up on her sexuality, on
Oh,
Brittany's
definitely
sexuality.
he
Yeah,
did.
Yeah,
and that gave him major pause. I think she
I
was the
knew it
front
was gonna.
runner until then.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Until then,
Yes.
um,
I agree. And I think at first I was like when she turned him down, what is her name? Brittany. When she turned him down before he could turn her down, I felt like it was a sort of defense mechanism because she could see where things were going. But then I thought about it, I was like, no, like that's a part of who she is. And he
yeah,
really did like expressed pause,
Yeah.
and you could tell, you could pick that up. So like if that's you, it's not necessarily about like being rejecting someone before they reject you, but it's just like, do they accept you, and
Yeah.
does that make you recalibrate how you even thought about them? And so so yeah, I was glad that she did do that, because I do agree. Like as soon as he was like,
So,
Yeah.
like, is there
I
some interest?
knew,
Yeah.
Like, I
I
was like, does he
knew,
not know how bisexual works?
Right,
yeah,
right.
that was not, and I think also maybe some of what he may have, I wonder if he thought about it in the sense of like, she's someone who played basketball, she's very tall, and maybe physically, if he thought like she was going to be someone who was more like masculine presenting, or like feminine, like, you know what I mean? Like I think that was the question that came to him, maybe, because I
Maybe.
think that if someone else, like if Virginia's like, oh, I'm bi or whatever, I'm not sure if he would have had the same issue, other than the fact that like maybe he has a stereotype of what a basketball player who is also
Mhm.
bi looks like, and whether
Yeah.
he would have felt he would have been attracted to her. And so I wonder if some of those stereotypes were in his head around that, to be honest.
I
True.
thought he might have had a little bit of pause once she said that she was guard. Because the people who play guard are often like
Oh.
taller and thicker,
Mhm.
right? So I was like,
Mhm.
well, he probably now has like this image of what she
Mhm.
looks like. Although
Mhm.
Brittany's a very beautiful woman, body was
Right,
Mhm.
T, fashion was on
right.
T. Like
Mhm.
I was hoping she was explaining more of what she had on because I was like, maybe it's giving the looks. I need that pink dress actually
Yeah,
that she had in the
yeah.
interview. Um, but yeah, I thought after that, like, okay, like maybe he feels like this is about to be like a home girl. I was like, he don't even know what's sitting on the other side of that screen.
Right. I and maybe they edited it out, but I was hoping that he could have shared why it gave him pause, because they didn't really,
Yeah,
it was just like he paused, they kind of moved on with the conversation, and then when they came back together, it was sort of like this mutual understanding. Let's just, kind of end it here. And so I agree with you all. Like, was it because he had a stereotype of like what she looked like? Was it a religious thing? Because when he was talking to Virginia, they were talking
yeah.
about praying and things like that. So, like, what was the reason that like gave you pause? I was curious about that bit, but I did like how. Oh, sorry, you have something you wanted to
No,
say.
you go ahead. No,
I
you go
did
ahead.
love how they ended, right? I thought it
Yeah,
was really beautiful. Like, she was like, hey, I know this gave you pause, Potter, who I am, cool. And he was like, yeah, I think you're one of a person, cool. And then she gave Virginia like some props of like, and
yeah,
Virginia, I've talked to her in the back. She's an amazing person. I loved that. I loved how both of them knew that they were both dating Devon, but it didn't cause them to
Mhm.
beat each other's neck, right? It was like,
yes,
hey, we're gonna go and do our thing, and he's gonna choose whoever he wants to choose, or it's gonna, happen
Mhm.
the way it's gonna happen. And so it was very
Mhm.
mature, right? And you can like, and they were, I don't know if they were older than any other women there, but they did give their
Mhm.
ages
Yeah.
comparison to him because he was younger.
right.
And I was like, yes, this
Mhm.
is giving very mature. We're not getting catty. Things happen, things end, and I loved that. Even though I did think that him and Brittany had like a really good connection.
Yeah,
I wonder, like, if Virginia and Devon will stay together. Like, that's an,
Yeah.
because I'm wondering how she was doing a lot of looking down when she was with him. She was like, yeah, but she was letting
yes,
him touch, and she was touching him, and so I need to see a little bit of out of the pods, for them. And I will say, I see a lot of clips of them for the preview of what's coming next week. I don't know if I did, but I'm not saying she wasn't into him or nothing like that, but she's definitely, in a different league.
Yes.
He's not unattractive, but there is like something about him that is like, you know,
he's
I don't know.
chill. Hmm.
Yeah, he's cool. He's
Yeah.
like, he's like,
Yeah.
he's
She's very
he's
formal.
well, I mean, attractive wise. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you're
Oh,
talking about a
oh,
different league in terms of attraction.
oh,
Okay, yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
oh.
like
Okay.
I'm wondering if that is going, if she is like is attracted to him, is going to be attracted to him. Because I think that he definitely liked what he saw. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell with her. Like she just kept looking down a lot, like
Well, she
yeah,
said she was shy.
yeah,
Yeah.
something
He
like
did say
that.
she was
But
shy.
we'll see. But
I
go ahead.
I was thinking the same thing as you, though not so much with looks, but like cuz she's like a doctor, right? Like I
You
was
want to ask
thinking
for
about
that
I was thinking
prenup?
about finances. I was like, I don't know, y'all might live 2 different types of life because y'all in 2 different tax brackets. I don't know what he makes, right? I know he mentioned he had like several businesses, but I also saw he was a youth director. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of know what that gives, right? And then
Mhm.
she's like a PhD in the medical field. We also know what that's
Mhm.
probably giving. And so I was more thinking, and also the age difference, right? So they've had a little more time to kind of
Yeah.
Right.
grow and build careers and things like that. So I was like, oh, I wonder how this is going to play out. Maybe not so much at the honeymoon, but like during those 8 weeks that they're like
Yeah.
living together. Yeah.
Because she's definitely the one asking for a
For 8
prenup in the
weeks. They were
previews.
together for 8 weeks. They lived together like 2 weeks, I think. It's
Oh,
not
is
that
it
long.
2?
Or
Oh,
maybe it's 4 weeks. It's not that long. It's not 8 weeks. I'm
oh.
pretty
Oh,
sure it's not 8 weeks. I think
Either
it's like
way.
3 to 4 weeks, but yeah,
Yeah, when they get into the, like, day-to-day of life, right? Like,
for
and I think
sure.
Victoria, she mentioned something about a prenup, right? That's what
Mhm.
I'm thinking about. It's like, these connections is great in a bubble, but we don't live in a bubble. We live in the
Mhm.
real world, you know? And how does that impact how you relate to another person? Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
she for sure, because he was in the commercials asking, saying, "Why do you feel like you need a prenup?"
Does she do?
And yeah, like I know. I text you before I was like 5 minutes in. I think I text both of y'all. I was like, I think Devon and Virginia are gonna be together, and
You
she's the
did.
one who's gonna be asking for that prenup
Yeah.
because she's very highly educated. And she said in there, she's like, I have a car, I have a nice car, I have nice. I don't know if she said a nice home, but she said I have nice things. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And she said, like, "I
uh,
date." Like, me getting a date isn't a problem, right? Because
yeah.
she's a
Yeah.
beautiful woman. So, like, her
Mhm,
finding men to date isn't. As with all of us, finding a man to date
mhm,
isn't necessarily hard. It's finding,
mhm. The right
quality
person.
person to
Yeah.
date, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I'm curious to see how they're gonna fare in the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, for their outcome, I'm happy to see the friendship between Brittany and Virginia, and
Yes.
Yeah.
hopefully it did also look like at the little reunion in the What's Coming Next that Brittany was sitting down with Devon, and he said like beautiful. She was like beautiful girl, like it was something to that extent of like she's still being a girl's girl. She not coming in there like, well, now you see me, do you want me?
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to the
Yeah,
reunion
she didn't give
whenever.
that sort of energy,
Yeah,
She didn't. Yeah.
Brittany.
So, I mean, what did you all think about Sarah and Ben?
they're another one that I couldn't figure out what was there, what they liked about each other, where the values were at. So I didn't really think much of them. Of course, I'm interested to see how the values when it comes to political views, how that plays out. But outside of that, I'm like, they were another boring couple to me.
I actually liked Ben until he started talking. When he started showing himself around like, "Oh, I just don't get involved." I was like, "Oh, here we go." And yeah.
I wasn't a fan of him on that, and then I felt like her raising it, um, and recognizing it, but then not acting on it gave me bad vibes about her too. Because I wasn't a fan of that at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel
agreed.
like there was even pause prior to that because she was saying like her sister was gay and he was like I know that he was saying like I kind of like, have my own faith. I don't lean much into religion, but he also was like, "Oh, I go to church every Sunday." And she was like, "Yeah, if
Right,
you find a church that's accepting of everyone, I can go." And I was like, "Y'all trying to force something ain't working here." Because of the way they edit it, we don't know what other conversations they were having that maybe they were making connections on. I think that's the limited information we have by just being viewers
right,
and we're not there. But those seem like really major topics considering like the climate that we're in the US. To me, I just felt like there were a lot of like red flags that you all were kind of overlooking because each of you have a strong desire to be married and to find your person, which I get it. But you want to find the right person.
right,
Right. I don't know if I expressed my disappointment for Sarah for like, overlooking all of this. Like I felt like that spoke to her privilege. You can, choose to dip in or dip out of like this experience. Being a person that's not of color. Like you can choose to dip in and out and decide like, oh, these are my values, but how true am I going to hold to them? You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
right,
I can still be with a man who has values that are totally not aligned with mine.
And she stated that it was a privilege to be able to have this middle view and not really have an opinion,
She
but then
did.
still
Oh,
you
She
she
did the
still
said
same
that.
choose
thing.
to get engaged. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Knowing that.
I felt like he intentionally was not trying to maybe disclose a lot of what he thought, probably on national TV. And also, maybe they
Right.
discussed it outside of the edits, but I felt like he was really not trying to be too opinionated because he was on TV and didn't want to come across a certain way.
But you
Because,
came across anyway. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? To be
right. But it
honest,
still
like you
comes
came
across
Yeah.
across
right.
anyway.
Not having
Like,
an opinion, you are walking a very, very like thin,
because it's
narrow
Yeah.
road.
Yeah,
yeah.
you
And it
are.
also speaks to like you're in it, you're living a life that is very secluded from any of like it affecting you.
What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on David, Lauren, and what was the other girl's name? Molly.
Molly. Did
Molly.
y'all think he picked right? Did y'all like, oh my God, I have so many thoughts on this couple or triangle. Like, but I want to hear what y'all say first because
It
I, you
seemed like to me that Molly understood his humor. I found some of his statements to be problematic, like, "Oh, you're getting old. We need to pop them babies out," or like, "Oh, you're 30. That means you're not attractive anymore," right? Like every single time he said those things, Lauren is
She was so
like. So I
offended.
was confused as to how. Yeah, she was so offended. So I'm like, you are still here engaging in these conversations, even though you actually don't like his character. Like, you don't find these things to be funny, right? Like, and this
Mhm,
is his humor. This is his way of like lightening up the situation. But Molly understood it. So
mhm.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's gonna be like a very like serious point of contention for them. On top of the fact that Lauren, she's so serious. Like
Yeah,
she's
so
very,
serious.
very serious. Yes, I don't know. He
I
had way
didn't
more fun
understand
with
why he chose
Molly.
you said what?
I didn't
Gigi?
understand why he chose her.
Yeah, I don't know either.
She put that
I
pressure
thought
on
Molly
him
was gonna get it.
because she put that pressure on him. Like
Yeah.
and that's what like I didn't know. I don't even know how to. So I think there's a whole lesson in all of this. One, like Molly was so like carefree, not carefree, but like she was so like, whatever, I'm giving you the time, I'm giving you the space. And he was like, yeah, that makes me like you more. That da da da. And for a second, it seems like you're winning. Like when you're that girl who's like, oh, I don't,
Mhm,
what, how, whatever it seemed like you're winning. But
mhm,
Lauren
same.
went in there and put that pressure on him and said, I was this and I feel that. And then you this. And she's saying this. And are you this? And are you that? And like she put that pressure on him. And while I think she put too much pressure, but I do think that as women, you do have to have a little bit of clarity about like, hey, so this is what I'm looking for. I am looking for someone to choose me or to have a little bit more clarity about me now. I do need you to make a decision sooner than later or whatever. However you're
Mhm,
feeling if you want to. But I think that on the opposite end, I think you can go too hard and push a guy into something with that pressure, sort of moment. What I'm trying to say is like, I
There's a
think
thin
that
line between stating what you want and pressuring somebody into
yes,
a
that's
decision.
what I'm trying to say is that there's a thin line. And I think that Lauren is going to find out because I don't think he's going to stay with her personally. I
no.
Yeah.
think that she's going to find out later on that pressure, one of my friends said to me one time, she's like, women who overextend themselves, and not saying she's overextending herself, but I think this is applicable to the situation. Like she's over, trying to make it happen, I think. But women who overextend themselves end up losing even when they get what they want, like even when they
Mhm,
get the guy. And I feel like with Lauren, Molly, like they were kind of two opposite ends of the spectrum, and they needed a
mhm,
middle balance to
Yeah.
like to that pressure sort of thing. Like Molly
mhm.
was too. I keep thinking laissez
It was
So
faire,
too
you're
but
like
like
lenient.
leaning out a little too much,
yeah,
maybe.
that
Yeah.
yeah, too lenient,
Yeah,
lenient. And Molly, she got him, I think, because she put that pressure on him, but
yeah.
she put a little bit, I think, too much that she kind of put him in a box. I think somewhere in the middle is better. Because like I said, I think that not Molly, Lauren is going to lose him eventually. I don't think that they're going to get married.
Yeah.
I think he's going to go back to
Molly?
Molly. But I
Yeah.
think
Mhm,
that there's always that chance that he won't. And I think that's why I don't like Molly's approach, because I think you have to be a little bit more clear with someone. I just don't think you leave men to their devices to do all that. Like, just personally, like, I think they will pick, I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Because I know what I just said was like not maybe controversial, but like, I don't think you leave them
No,
to their
It wasn't
device.
controversial.
I don't think
You
it's
set your
controversial.
standards and say what your timeline is.
I actually really identify with Molly in the way that she was like, take your time, right? Because I understand like wanting a guy to arrive at his own decision of wanting to be with you. What I do think she could have done though is been a little more transparent about how she felt about him. Because one thing he
Right.
didn't know was really how she felt about him. He even said it to Lauren, like she wasn't even upset when I said it, right? And Lauren was like, no, she was upset, right? And I don't think he really knew how Molly felt about him because they hadn't really gotten to deep conversations. They were keeping it quite light. They talked on a few things around values, but still kept it quite light. Neither of them were like trying to go like deep into serious like topics. And Lauren was. She was like, let's talk about kids. Let's talk about how you're going to come around my family. She was getting at all these very like serious topics. 100%. I think Lauren's going to lose him. And whether it happens on this show or outside, you just can't pressure someone into being with you. And on top of that, I literally, when he made the comment to her, like, what did he say? Like, oh, you're over 30. It's time. You're not cute or something like that. It's time to have babies. And she was like, and I literally had this vision of like, I can see him making one of these jokes and then her being like, you say these things because you don't care about me. It's because you don't care. And I just felt like, girl, this is who he is. This is just his humor. Like he's been this
Yeah.
way since you sat down with him and talked with him in these pods. If this humor is offensive to you, don't be with him. Don't get with someone and then try to mold them and force them into what you want them to be and then make it about they don't care. You will always villainize someone when you try to force people to be who they're not, right? And so I do like the fact that Molly was giving him this freedom, but he clearly, like lots of men, I hate to say, have a hard time being decisive. They have a hard
Yeah.
time like deciding what they want to do, and often they do what's the word, want women to make that decision for them, and then sometimes resenting them for doing it. No, you have to be able to, okay, what do I want? What do I like about these women? All those tears that he was having, I'm not saying they weren't real, because I can't imagine that it is difficult to be in this position, to be trying to make a decision. But I was like, stop all this crying, make a pros and cons list, and really think about what do I like about each of these women? Okay,
And
just
not
because I
what your
haven't,
sister likes.
right, and not
Yeah,
what your sister is
I
gonna
missed the
like.
sister comment. Period. Like what were they concerned about with the sister? Like
His
I
sister
kept
didn't
missing
want
it.
him to like come on the show, right? Like she did not want him to come
Oh,
on the show, and she also didn't think that he was gonna like find like a quality girl. So I do think that
okay.
part of him choosing Lauren was because
Lauren,
he felt like his sister would really approve of her
true,
and maybe wouldn't approve of Molly. And so I
mm,
don't know what type of conversations these people were having outside of the pods, but I'm like, I just you to me he clearly chose wrong. You should have went with Molly and then be like,
Yeah.
okay, we can deepen this connection on the honeymoon, because you don't have to decide right then and there if you're marrying.
Right.
mm,
Yeah.
I also think I had wrote down on my notes, like back to the sister. I was like, his sister is gonna see Molly's dirty Nikes and scream.
Molly. I didn't see them. I didn't see
Yes,
that.
she
For
was
real.
wearing it. I was like, Molly is giving artist streetwalker like to the T. Like, like these are I go out in these Nikes and these Air Force Ones. I walk around in the city in these. Like,
Yeah.
That's funny. Like I didn't notice anything about her. I second to Alien Girl, Megs. I
yeah,
thought
Mhm.
she was the most authentic as well. But
yeah,
Mhm.
Dave did say she was number one. I rewound it. He said it. He
yeah.
said, you are my number one. Now, I didn't hear the part
Mhm.
about the breakup. Maybe it was in another part. I could have missed it myself because I rewound it it was the episode before the episode of all that drama. I went back. He said, you're my number one. And not only that, he was
Mhm.
asking homegirl about the rings. He was like, what type of
Yeah, he
ring? Or
did.
like gold? But she's like,
Yeah,
I don't really do. So she's not crazy. That's like he is
he's
gaslighting
not.
both of them because
Yeah,
she's not crazy for feeling that he was eyeing, zeroing in on her. He gave her all the signs that he was zeroing in on
Mhm.
her. So I think Molly, not Molly. Lauren looks like a Molly, and Molly looks like a Lauren. To be honest, I keep crossing them up, but Lauren, one is ignoring all those signs because I think she got in her head about like being
Yeah.
with him and
Chosen, yeah.
competition around it, and so I think she just wanted to win him because for her ego's sake, at a
Yeah.
certain,
Yeah.
honest,
I was
Yeah.
actually surprised too, just to touch on that, that like after she found out that Molly was also talking to him, why she allowed herself to sit there and go through listening to all of those conversations, and why she didn't say, you know what, I'm actually also talking to him. So when I'm around, let's just not have these conversations.
girl,
And then she, and it's almost like she held on to it to use it to
Yeah.
weaponize and like put
She
herself
did.
ahead. 'Cause she
yeah,
went in there and was
She
like, "I know
did.
it's Molly," like, she also did that,
mhm, mhm.
and so I thought she was wrong and deceitful, I mean, not
Yeah.
deceitful, Lord have mercy. She was,
Yeah,
a little
there was
It was
something
something. It was
there.
calculated.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
Yes,
calculated, right? It was
she's
just a little bit of
very
deception going
calculated.
on. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
she
for
was
it
very
to be,
calculated.
just real quick, for it to be as bothersome to her as she said it was, I think what you just said, Victoria, was excellent. That was a solution
Mhm.
to that. To just saying, hey, we're instead of having this secret cringe by yourself around when she talks about him, y'all can just have a
Just
conversation. I didn't even think
yeah,
Yeah.
about that,
Yeah,
but
because
yeah,
Molly
and
said, "I thought it was Sarah for the longest until Sarah said she's with Ben." So what in the world?
right.
Like, so you just
yeah,
sat there and, just gathered all of this information to inform
yeah.
your
And she
decisions, to
was
And I
inform
think that
your
she did that because she
conversation.
secretly did wanna know. She secretly
Yeah.
did want to
yeah,
know
she
how
wanted to
what's the
know.
vibe going on with him so that like,
Right.
it's like reading his phone.
Yes,
Mhm.
and she
She's
literally was
like
like just stale face. I'm like, "Girl, you
she's
are
like,
pissed, you are angry, you are full of
Yeah,
rage. Stop it.
yeah.
Get out. Exit. Abort
She
mission."
she was
yeah,
very
she did.
calculated. She was very calculated. And like the fact that she was like, it was also like she was trying to paint Molly as like, if she knows this, this means that she is whatever, whatever. And I was like, girl, you're the one sitting around hiding the fact that you're talking to him and then getting
Right.
angry when she brings him up. Why not just be transparent? Like
Yeah.
I already know that's not gonna work. Like their relationship is not going to work. Like just I do think she got in her head about wanting to win as opposed to thinking, is this person even a good match for me? Like if Molly
Yeah.
is someone that he's making a connection with, and I and Molly are not even like similar people, maybe I
Mhm.
should relook at like, is this someone is this someone I'm interested in? Right. I think Lauren gives me all of her friends are now married and getting ready to have kids. She's feeling a little
Mm.
behind and she is ready to find a man and ready to start a family. And
Yeah.
like she's quite calculated in how she wants to make it come about. And I don't think
Yeah.
it's going to work for her in this way.
Yes, which is why
Yeah.
she went in and she was like, "Kids, da, da, da." She couldn't have any lighthearted conversations because she needed to check all of her boxes
Yes.
and ensure this is somebody I can bring home and just get, and get right to it. Her
Right. Get right
and
into it.
Madison are besties, okay? They are
Madison.
sister
Oh, you
cousins in here.
did? Oh, yeah, I guess she's like a more, yeah, yeah, like a more basic the basic version of Madison.
Yes.
Madison's the edgy version, and she's
Yeah.
like the more basic, you can bring her home to
Usually,
mom,
I think
like
it's flipped. I think she is even more calculated than Madison, honey. I think
oh,
Madison is a
Yeah.
lot more I think Madison is more transparent about hers. Lauren
Right.
tries to play like, I'm the nice girl here and I'm being wrong. That's how she was trying to
Right.
paint it. Like Molly in some way was wronging her by talking about this guy like every other girl was doing out there. And I'm like, she's not in
Especially
the
that
wrong
Molly
for
was
being
crazy.
yeah, she was like,
yeah,
either she's the Delulu or I am, or not. The fact that
yeah,
Lauren
or
was trying to make it that he must be lying because he can't have this connection with both of us. No, honey, you can. And that very rigid way of thinking makes relationships difficult because you are going to find other people attractive. That's just the
mhm.
reality of it. You can make connections with other people even within a relationship, even if you really want to be with another person. Um yeah. I don't know. I think
Do
Molly is like sorry, Lauren is like the superior version of of Madison. I think Madison.
Madison.
And
Yeah.
Madison low key, like not excusing her behaviors, but she kind of has an excuse. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh.
very rooted in her trauma,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
this
And
is
Madison
how
did
she
not leave
chooses
with
to
a
take care of
man.
herself.
Lauren did.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Also that.
Yeah, no, true. Level 2.0.
Right.
And
Okay, level 2.0. She knew what she was doing. Listen,
She
I've
was in her
known
glory
Lauren for
era,
my
and she
life.
got what she wanted.
She got what she wanted. She got what she
Mm.
wanted. I
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
girl.
and that's why, like, I don't think I didn't express I didn't express myself the way I wanted to with regard to this, like, this pressure
Pressure.
gig, but
Mhm.
there is something about it. I thought she was gonna lose him when she put that pressure on him, because I saw him in there and he was just like, oh. Like, I was just like, he's about to be like, this I can't do. I can't do. And so, like, I thought she had put so much pressure on him that he was gonna pop and be like, it's the other girl, you know? But it worked. And so, maybe there is something to what you're
Right.
saying about her.
Maybe I need to learn from
I
Lauren,
know,
honey, because you gotta be able to toe that line.
but she's not gonna keep him. Like,
Yeah,
did they
no.
talk
I'm
about
not gonna keep it.
cheating? Has he previously cheated before? Because he gives me
Yeah, he
she
did.
Yeah,
is
he
the
said that he
exact type of
previously
woman that he's
cheated.
gonna cheat.
Yeah,
Yeah. He said he
yeah.
cheated
He said he
before,
cheated before?
Yeah,
but he
and
didn't
he
tell
said
Lauren
that
that.
to
He told Molly.
he
To
told it to
Molly.
Molly, right? He was
Right.
able to be more honest and open with Molly about his
Yeah,
faults. That
because
was
I
Yeah.
another
wonder.
reason why I thought he was gonna
He
choose
would go
her.
with her, right. You know,
Yeah,
you can
I
never tell
wonder.
Lauren you cheated.
Right.
I wonder. That's what I'm gonna say. I was like, I wonder if he's told Lauren,
Mm-mm.
because
Well, this is the
Lauren.
caveat, Kamaria. I don't know if
You
you
said what?
noticed in the caveat was like in the little like preview clip that they had at the end. I'm pretty sure it was David talking about they're
And
in a
Molly.
building with someone that Lauren has been with.
Oh.
Yeah, y'all
That
gotta go back and watch the little
Lauren.
preview clip that was at the
Yeah, I
very
did
end
see that.
of
I
episode
just
6. I'm pretty sure
okay.
it was them talking about it because it like flashed to Lauren as he was like stating it. So there's about to be some messiness that Lauren
Mhm.
wasn't truthful about, is what I'm assuming.
Uh-oh.
In this little bubble that's going on. So
Interesting. I have no
Mm.
clue. Yeah, I have no clue. She doesn't give me that she was the cheater. He gives me that he is a cheating type, but who knows?
well, it wasn't giving
If,
cheating. It was giving like again, just a little bit of like deception was going on. I'm just gonna assume
Mhm.
maybe there was like some type of interaction with this guy,
oh,
and she maybe
Oh.
like acted like she didn't know him. It was something where it was like she wasn't being forthcoming about who he
Mm.
was, and he lives in our building.
okay, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Mm.
This relationship, I don't think is gonna make it. I I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to Molly, right? But then I also wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if Molly turns him down. If I was Molly, seeing how he approached both of the women, how he made me soup me up in this way and then let me down, it would feel a little bit like a lack of trust, ability to trust that
Yeah.
he's like really gonna have my best interest. I feel like Molly and Lauren watching the episodes right now have to feel some type of way about the
Yeah,
fact that he literally
Yeah.
did say that to both of them. And I think it's fine to feel some type of way or maybe go back and forth between your number ones. I don't think that is a problem, especially in this like fast paced sort of situation.
Yeah.
But I think to gaslight somebody to make it seem like I didn't say that. I would never say
right.
that. Like as we said to Lauren, I would never say that when you have always been, my number one. I would never say that. And it's like, but you did.
She did.
Yeah,
You said it.
But
Yeah.
you did.
And even the way that he broke it off with Lauren, he also was not trying to really break it off.
break it
And then
off.
when
Yeah,
Lauren was like holding his feet to the fire, then he was like, "Oh, I thought I just said it." No,
Yeah, I
you
just
didn't.
yeah,
Right. You didn't
you
say it,
didn't.
right? But
You didn't.
he was a little bit smarter than Mason, honey, because he knew that he needed to like he couldn't say he knew that where he needed to like lean a little bit more into it. I actually think had Molly been like, no, actually, I want you to say it because I really feel like we have a connection here and I really like you. I think he would have went the other way. I think he really
You
was
yeah.
waiting
think?
for Yes, I think that he
Yes.
wanted Molly to share more about how she felt about him. Lauren was a lot more transparent
Ah.
about that than what
Right.
Molly was. Um,
Yeah.
but
Because
yeah,
he
the way
said, he was like, I want, hold on,
But
let me pull it up. Because he said something very specific, and I went back to listen to it to write it down. Where was it?
Molly wasn't, not Molly, but Lauren wasn't so specific until she found out that, he was moving into the direction of
of
Lauren. And
Molly.
then that's what switched him back. So
Mhm.
you probably, I think I know what line you about to try to pull up, Victoria, because you probably right about that he was looking for that validation or that
Mhm.
expression
Yeah.
of it's you from someone.
Right.
And Lauren gave him that in that moment, and so maybe he would have flipped back if Molly had given him that. I don't
Yeah.
know.
He told Lauren, he said, I feel important to you. I feel like you want me to want you. That's
Yes.
Mm,
exactly what he said, and I
Yep.
was like, "This is what made him
This is what
choose
made
her
him
despite
choose her.
the connection he had with Molly." He was
Yeah.
very clear on how Lauren felt,
mhm,
and I don't think he was picking up on Lauren, like, her fast paced for him to, like, make a decision and the pressure,
mhm.
Yeah.
more than he was picking up on, like, "Well, at least I know I'm wanted here, and
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
let me just thug it out and see what
Yeah.
happens."
Molly
yeah.
seemed afraid, right? Because the way that she was quite cool in the pods, and then as soon as she
Mhm.
got back into the back, she was full on tears. And
Really.
she's never had a serious relationship, right? She's had more of like these casual
Oh,
encounters.
yeah.
And so
Mhm,
I don't think she has the experience to like, okay, no, this is the time where I begin to express maybe a little bit more deeper feelings and emotions and things like that.
Mhm.
And so I did feel for her because I was like, Lauren, honey, was calculated. She knew what she was doing, and you was out here just being yourself. I get it, but I do think he
mhm,
needed more reassurance from her that
Yeah.
I want you, right? And I guess in some ways she tried because she did tell him, I'm only dating you, right? I'm very decisive. I'm only dating you. But I guess maybe that didn't come across
mhm,
enough to him. But I do think that
Mhm.
she attempted to try to share, like, I have made a decision about you.
mhm. No, you know what? You're right about that. Like when she said that, that was when he flipped to her. When she told him she was only dating
Right.
him, he
Yeah.
was flipped to her. And then I guess Lauren came with a even greater like, it's you, I want
Right.
you. And he flipped to her. And so it was like, Molly, you gonna one up it or no? Like
Yeah.
she was like, no.
I'm
But
learning
the thing
something
that
here.
you just
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, yeah.
I said, I'm learning something here.
But no, the thing that you just said that made me think about Molly is I was like, look, like this might be Molly's nonchalant sort of attitude. This might be why homegirl says she never had a boyfriend because
Mhm.
she's giving chill vibe. She's giving like
Mhm.
it's cool, whatever's cool, whatever. And I think that's the piece I'm trying to touch on about
Yeah.
this pressure thing. It's like you can't just be whatever's cool with a guy because whatever will be cool with them back. It's like if you have something that you want, because she said in the beginning, like she was like, I can't give him my virginity. So she's fucking these men, you know what I mean? She's dealing with
Mhm.
them, but she's not putting parameters
Like,
around
yeah.
to be with me or to operate with me in a certain way. This needs to be in a situation. And if you can, you will cool girl yourself into singledom forever. Like
Yeah.
literally, if you
Mhm.
have to be like, no, there are
Yeah.
conditions for being with me. And I'm not
Right.
saying that you needed to go all the way over to like what Lauren did, but
Right.
Lauren, she was clear on the conditions and she just like was like,
Yeah.
these are the conditions.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what I
And
meant
I
by I
also
identified. Oh, sorry. Go on.
I was gonna say, I also wonder how much knowing what was going on with Molly and Dave's conversation, um, informed how much pressure she needed
Mhm.
to put on David to make a decision. Just
100% it
because
did.
it goes
Absolutely.
into the calculation and it was unfair.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why I said, like, earlier, it's like she's looking through his phone. She's
Yeah.
seeing all the
'Cause
text
he would.
messages, all the whatever interactions
Mhm.
between him and the other girl, so she's armed with the information,
Mhm.
and that's probably why she didn't say anything about
Right.
it to the other girls because
Exactly.
she wants that information
He
when
wants
she comes back and like,
information.
"Ah, yes, it was so exciting, it was great, we had a great," she knows like, "Oh, damn, Chip, I'm going down a little bit in the rankings, so I need to do something to go up." And
Yeah.
so I think she wanted that information, and that's
Yeah.
why she didn't say it. She's like, I'll be tortured just so I can have this information. And
Right.
she used it when she needed to use it, you know?
And to
Very
your point,
calculated.
yeah, she's very calculated. And to your point, Kamaria, that's why I was saying, like, I really identify with Molly and how she acts. It's so true because I
Mhm.
can be quite like, woohoo, like, how, what you want to do? Like, I'm a free flowing person, and it doesn't bode well if you're trying to get into a type of serious relationship. You have to have conditions. And you're right, you will kind of free flow yourself into single. Single. You will because men, I guess the way in which maybe they interact, they need you to put those types of conditions so then they can then be able to question with themselves, okay, do I want to be here or not? Are these conditions too much or they not? And if you don't do that, they will just happy go lucky go around, do what they want to do. You do have to have some conditions. So I did feel for Molly and how she was dating because it does make for a great beginning of a relationship where you feel like you can be quite honest and be yourself and all these amazing things. But you do have to think, what do I want here? And am I making that clear? And if I'm not getting that, then I need to have the condition that I'm going to step away.
Those are our couples. Do we have any predictions for like who are most likely to make it? Like I think what we have? We have Monica and Joey. Somebody's had good faith in them. I have good faith in
I
I like
think
they're the good faith
them. And
pick. Yeah.
huh?
I
You
think
think
that's
they're
a
gonna
good
make
faith
it?
pick.
Okay. And so that's at the top of your list. That I guess maybe they are at the top of my list too, now that I think about it.
The rest of them is Rocky.
right. The
Yeah,
rest of us rock.
no,
Those are the only ones.
that is
I said,
true.
that's a good
They're at the
faith
top of
pick to
the
say Love is Blind works. Okay, that
list.
is.
Right. Virginia and Devon are, I guess, second for me. And I guess it's like the way we discussed everybody. That's the order, to be honest, that I think they're going
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
like, yeah, Ben and Sarah next. And then at the
Mm-mm.
bottom, David and Lauren. I
Yeah.
really
Mm-mm.
think they're not going to make it,
I think Monica and Joey will make it.
Mhm.
There's a slim chance for Devin and Virginia. I'm gonna see how some things are gonna play out. But
Yeah.
Sarah and Ben, no. David and Lauren, no.
Yeah. 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 And I
Yeah.
think
No,
that David is gonna end up probably with Molly if
Mhm.
there's like
If
a
she
full
allows
circle
it.
moment.
mhm.
And I think what is her name? Meg and Mason might
Yeah.
find their way back together. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's how it's probably gonna
No, I
go.
agree with that. I only have a little concern around Molly. I think he will just I wonder if Molly's going to take him. But,
Yeah.
I don't know. I did think about how they only have 4 couples, and I feel like a lot of times when they go into Mexico, there's like 6 couples.
Yeah, there
And
is
this was
usually
the
6.
season that they had like the most, they said. They said they had 60 people,
Yeah,
and
this
they
was
had
the most
They did.
contestants.
but to have the least number, because I'm pretty sure every season has about 6 people go to Mexico. I feel like this is among, if not the least, among the fewest number. I don't know
Mhm.
if
Yeah,
least
for
is the
sure. And I was wondering all that too. I was like, "This is all we got? This is all the
but
proposals we
that's
got?"
probably why they
Yeah.
spent so much time on these pod
Yeah.
episodes, because they don't have much, engagement stuff. Because and then
Mhm.
because they had 5, I guess they had 5, but with um the lace back
Madison
girl, I
and
can't remember
Alex.
her name. Not
Yeah, yeah,
Madison,
yeah.
Madison.
lace back girl, Short
Oh, we
Oh,
King.
Lauren
forgot about
and,
them.
yeah,
But they're
other names
like
already.
they're the 5th couple, but they're like looking like they're not gonna be.
Yeah,
That's
Taylor and,
true.
Daniel.
Taylor
They're
and
at the
Daniel.
bottom of the
Yeah.
list.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so they have 5, but they didn't make it. So that's why I'm kind of thinking like they just didn't have enough footage to go through Mexico, go through the weddings, you know, and maybe some more
Mhm.
people are going to drop out. So that's why they probably
Right.
stretched out
Oh,
this,
yeah,
and also that was
maybe.
high drama for
Yeah,
the Alex, the quad, whatever, the quad.
Drupal thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
the quad. Right.
I
Did
also
you
thought
like
too,
them?
like, are all the couple were there just a lot of boring matches? Because
They was boring.
Yeah,
it was a
because
lot of boringness for sure.
they say that there are more people who get engaged than
Did we
couples who
actually
get
see?
invited to Mexico. Yeah. So I wonder, if
Yeah.
others got engaged, but I want to see, who are these couples? Are they still together? You know what I mean? That's what
Yeah.
I'd be interested in. Like, of all the past 7 seasons, Who are
Yeah,
the
I
non?
think they could future, like, even if they don't take them to Mexico, they could, like, do, like, a shot, like, "These are the other couples that didn't make it to Mexico but did get engaged." Like, I feel like
Yeah, maybe do
so
a
we can
reunion or something.
yeah, something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, so overall, wrapping up, thoughts on the season so far, thoughts on what we got coming, and anything stand out to
Hmm.
Nothing more than what we discussed
yeah,
already,
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
It's always interesting to see when everyone comes together from the pods and
Mhm.
everyone finds out like who they didn't choose, like what they look like and all that
That's
stuff in
what
those
I'm looking for.
conversations. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to seeing Ben and Sarah meet each other's family to see how
Yeah.
that goes down.
Mm.
When you are talking about very contrasting setups there. And
Yeah.
interested to see how this prenup situation fares out. Is he
Works
gonna?
out,
Yeah, is Dev gonna sign it? Is D Bucks gonna sign it?
yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. And then also, side note, like not a lot of black. I mean, there were black guys in there. I didn't hear a word from them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then,
Yeah.
like even like Yemi was one of the black women that a lot of folks were like, "Oh, Yemi, Yemi, Yemi." I think that's her name. Is that what I'm
I
talking
don't
about?
know.
She wasn't there though. She wasn't featured that much. She's like she was
Yeah.
she was tall. She seemed tall and like sort of brown chocolate skin. I think she's Nigerian, but I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But she was in there, and nobody, we didn't hear
Yeah,
nothing.
I didn't even know who she was. They
Yeah, I don't know who
Love
she
is
is.
Blind should do an African edition. I'm not gonna lie. They need to go to the continent and do an African because that's where you're gonna get the most spice, the tea, all of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and they are expanding. They've done what? Germany. They've done Dubai. They've
but they
done
ain't done Africa.
Mexico.
They need to.
Yeah.
It's time to get to Africa.
Right.
Get to
Yeah,
that whole
or maybe they
continent.
do because did I hear they have a Nigerian one? Like maybe I'm just tripping. I'm just tripping.
Yeah. They have
If
other
they do,
shows. They have the Ultimatum, I think, in Africa.
Yeah. But yeah, this
oh,
will
In
be a
South
great show,
Africa.
I believe, for
Yeah.
Ghana, Nigeria, something,
Right. Right.
even South Africa, all of them.
Yeah, South
Yeah.
Africa. Yeah. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. But I guess until next time, ladies, like this is a good wrap up, but we'll see what happens next week. That's what I'm really excited for when they get out of the pods. So
Yeah,
Yes.
me too.
Yes.
yeah.
Alrighty, y'all. Well, that's it. Thank you for coming and staying till the end. Again, we are Black Girls Talking TV. If you like this video and want to see more, make sure you hit the subscribe button and share with a friend. And we'll catch you on the next episode.
Yeah, all right. Bye.
Bye.